Good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. Would you mind taking a few minutes just to introduce yourself today?
Happy to do so. Thank you first of all to give me the chance to talk a little bit to you. My name is Jürg Lohri. I'm the Vice President Finance of Orion Innovation, which is a software manufacturer, has a worldwide reach.
Before this interview, we had a little chat, and I understand that your business has been growing rapidly over the past few years globally.
Yep, that's correct. We have a global reach, started more than 25 years ago, which is quite something for a software or IT company. Grown for very small, then had a number of acquisitions. Over the last couple of years, we added South America, we added India, we added Eastern Europe, quite a number of countries. And now we are roughly 6,600 people overall.
That's impressive. And so with this growth, you've obviously had to go through a number of hiring processes in the recent past. Is there one in particular that you can recall?
Just second half of last year, we were trying to find a new accountant. Mid-level, not junior, needed to have some experience in accounting, some US GAAP experience, some local GAAP experience, and was also willing to basically expand the knowledge also to international accounting standards, but at the same time be hands-off. So it's not all about delegation. It's not doing about ourselves, things that you have to do by yourself.
And this was someone in your team?
That is someone in my team, yeah, here in Switzerland.
So from the moment you identified the need to bring on new competencies to the team, to the moment that you actually had the person identified and selected, how long did it take to put in process and go through the whole selection of the candidate?
Actually, it was quite fast, to be frank. Job opening was defined in July, and we closed the slot end of August.
Fantastic.
We had one little setback. There was a candidate that at the last minute when we thought we would close, but the person decided not to join us because it was too far away geographically, and then a new person relatively quickly joined.
Do you think that's a normal time it takes to hire in your experience?
No, not at all.
No, because tell me about...
I had some very interesting experiences in Serbia. Took us 6-8 months to find the suitable person. People that were signing up, that was done by internal recruiting. We have a recruitment team there because it's a sizable organization. Two candidates were actually signing the contract. One didn't join. Last moment decided to do something else, so didn't start on workday number one. Second one joined, and then luckily for her, became pregnant, and she is gone as well. So it took us a long time, many interviews to find the right people. In the meantime, the job is closed.
What do you think were the mistakes made during that process that resulted in such a lengthy recruitment?
I haven't done any recruitment outside of Switzerland for a finance role within another country, so I think the briefing from my side might not have been as clear. Knowing Samuel, which is the representative of LHH, he knows me exactly. He has done a number of job fillings for myself, so there was not a big need to explain what I really need. Maybe that's one thing. And the second thing is also, I guess, when you are hiring by yourself, then you are referring to your existing network. And I think using somebody that helps you throughout this process makes it much more easier. You have a network. You have potentially had some exposure to candidates already, which you knew how they. Because you were helping them to find a new position in the past. So you have quite a bit of experience with these people, what they can and what they can't. Sure. And you know the other side, which is your client, that what he's looking for.
I also hear maybe a mismatch in terms of the expectations between what you want and what the talent acquisition support in Serbia was able to identify for you? Do you think that this was something that led to, candidates being rejected and therefore having to look further and further into the market?
No, and the job profile as such wasn't super complex. It was an FP&A role, straightforward, had to have some experience, hopefully with some international exposure. But no, I think it was a networking thing, the reach, then also the process, right? I think even a recruiter that has a very broad experience in hiring people, maybe they have a bit, because normally these are engineers, technical roles or profiles, which might be different to finance roles. So it might be there's something, and the second thing is the profiles were fastly identified. The interviews, they were done in multiple iterations, and and I think also the market was pretty dry, so we were not so able to choose between many candidates. We had a small number that were applying for the role, and then two failures.
You also mentioned the first reason for failure was the candidate refused the offer.
No, he signed the contract and then didn't show up.
Okay, and did you ever get feedback on why this happened?
Yeah, he told his former employer that he was trying to change, and I think he used us as for the means to raise his profile towards his former employer. So he was waiting for a promotion which he didn't get, and then he basically announced to quit. And finally, probably the employer said, okay, now as you're going, maybe you would reconsider and stay.
And the second situation was a woman that was pregnant. Do you think that maybe there was a lack of courageous conversation at some point on the behalf of the recruiters?
Yeah. And both of these candidates, none of them had physical meetings. It took place over the phone. So it was web interviews, and only when they should have joined, there were physical meetings. That's potential something that has had an impact.
It's certainly one of the downsides of the post-COVID recruitment world.
Absolutely.
Is that candidates are less willing to meet face-to-face and spend that time.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because being able to participate in recruitment processes solely in a digital interface allows candidates to test the water without necessarily being engaged. How do you feel, and how would you advise your internal talent acquisition and any other client on the market to prevent this happening in the future?
That's an interesting question. Not an easy answer. I think what we did actually, we did test them a little bit. So we gave them a little task to see how they would deal with it, because a particular skill was needed. So from the technical side, we were sure the candidates were able to do what we were trying to get to. But on the personal side, maybe that could have been something we should have done, as an assessment, which I think in the common world with artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, where you are not sure who wrote the application or the letter. So I think companies have to start looking into that a bit more careful as well, not to make the wrong decisions. And I think here are companies like yours, they can really make a difference.
Yeah, digging deeper into the candidates' expectations and motivations, but also meeting people face to face at the end of the day. Thing is that pre-COVID, in order to engage in an interview process, you might have to take 1 or 2 days of holiday off. Post-COVID, if you're doing all of the screening via Microsoft Teams or video conference, maybe you only have to take an afternoon off for the final round of interviews. There's a lot less left on the table.
True, and then taking a decision in half a day makes it more challenging for both sides, I guess.
I'd be interested to discuss skills-based recruitment, because you've mentioned a few times you've been looking for specific skills. How do you balance the need to find specific skills, but also finding talent that is willing to join you and has an expectation to learn?
I think I have done that throughout my career. I was not trying to fit 100% fit, because I think you will not find that person, number one. And secondly, if you would find this person, you cannot offer anything to him, right? I think I'm a strong believer that companies must offer their employees something in return for work they're delivering. So you have to give them a perspective, a career potentially, a way how they can develop. And if the first step is to learn something. Anyhow, I think companies are very individual. From a process perspective, from a tools perspective, even if the company uses the same ERP, the processes behind the ERP are most likely very different from company to company. So yes, you should maybe try to cover 70% and then try to promote and help the person to develop to the next grade.
Absolutely, especially with the shift in demographics at the moment, where we're finding less and less people available in the market with the right skills. Yeah. And the expectations of the new generation to really have opportunities to learn.
Yeah.
Have you yourself had the experience of being a candidate?
Yes.
Yeah. And
same person that is unfortunately not here today, but yes, he hired me.
To where you're currently working?
To Orion, prior to Mera. I was, and I like, you see, I like people that are responsive. That they are trying to help the candidate, whereas also the companies, their clients, and that's what I found is really important. People that are responsive, that try to take care of both sides as good as they can. Because I'm also a father. I see people that have to apply, and very often it's, at least these days, I think it's not always a very pleasant experience young people make.
What do you think is making the experience unpleasant in today's market?
The worst, I think, is non-responsiveness. Because I think when you apply for a job, you first, I would assume you have to put a little bit of effort by yourself, update your CV, write a letter, promote yourself, and think about what the company is doing. So do a little bit of research. So it's a little bit of effort required. And then when you then send your resume into the company and nothing happens, just maybe an automatic response, which is, thank you very much for submitting your profile, and then hearing nothing anymore. I think that's the worst the companies can do. And I see that very often now.
And how do you prevent this at Orion, or when you have recruitments in your team? What is the strategy that you put in place?
In my particular situation, I would always use a company like yours that we would work together. Because I don't have an HR department or a recruitment department. Internationally, that's something which is the standard within our company, that we are really tracking, making sure nothing gets forgotten, and people get an answer, positive or negative, a fair, candid feedback why things are not working or we couldn't select them. I think that's something that companies should consider a bit more, maybe.
The job market going online via various platforms, whether it be Indeed, LinkedIn, and in the past Monster, jobs.ch for Switzerland. It's certainly provided a platform for more transparency and visibility for candidates applying to jobs. However, the negative side is the decrease in quality of the process,
Yeah.
decrease in feedback, because the volumes are very difficult to manage.
Right.
Not only for our clients, but also for recruitment agencies. At least when candidates are applying to us, it's our job to give an answer. And it's very important for the employer branding of any company that they're giving feedback to the candidate market. And especially now that we see that with the amount of information available online and social media,
Yeah.
you know, bad image can really have a lasting effect in terms of attracting talent.
I agree.
As a candidate in the past, what were your expectations from the company in terms of the process? What would you try and replicate from those experiences to your role today as a hiring manager?
I think it was time. The whole process, it was, there were multiple iterations still, but they were in a relatively tight sequence. So it didn't take forever. It was maybe 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, but people were not here all the time. So that's for sure something I do. I think everyone does appreciate if they get the feedback and they know, okay, I'm still in or I'm out. Maybe just that does make a difference. The second is also open discussion. I think, well, it was quite interesting. One of the stories that they told me afterwards said they felt like they were interviewed. That they were interviewed by me versus the other way around.
Okay.
I had a ton of questions because I wasn't sure if that is really the right fit. I wasn't sure about where they want to go to, what's their strategy going forward. So I took the freedom to ask questions and it worked out well.
Yeah, very important to be brave and ask those courageous questions and not leave anything on the table.
Right.
So
and then find out later on, oops, that's not what I thought it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that can only lead to, you know, a potential refused offer or declining of the opportunity and therefore restarting of the position.
Correct. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you have any advice for candidates out there looking to get into your industry, how they should approach, you know, large corporations such as yours, 6,000 employees globally? I mean, if people are interested to work for you, what is the best way to apply? What's the best way to find a career?
I think there are multiple ways to approach a company today. Number one, maybe most difficult one is you just send in your profile to the company, and without being aware of that there is a job opening.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this can work, and for sure it does work, because it shows the people that do that, just sending in cold applications, they would like to work for that company, right? Then very often the timing might not work, and that will lead to not a positive result. However, if you are in a company and if the department that looks at that resume thinks it's interesting, they will keep it and come back maybe. The second thing is network. I think today network is still helpful. Might be just something because I'm in Switzerland and it's a small country. In USA, I'm not sure if network would work. And I think the normal way is using job openings on the web, responding to them, make sure that you really spend a bit time to prepare your documents. So make sure that there are some keywords that they are putting deliberately into the job opening ad, and you should basically reflect on them a little bit. That can you do or can't you satisfy? Mm-hmm. But also maybe say, okay, I can be helpful I think I'm a value for this company. or I can create value for a company because I can deliver. I bring to the table this and this capability, skill.
And from a employer perspective, what advice would you give to any other hiring managers out there to make sure that they are engaging correctly with the candidates, managing a timely process, having, strong and courageous conversations?
I think you summarized it very well. I would probably add one more thing: have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Not be too serious. I mean, it shouldn't be too stiff. Try to create an easy environment where people or surprise them with a question they would never expect.
That's a nice point. At the end of the day, people spend a lot of time working together.
Right. Yeah.
Should be almost over 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and therefore the relationships are not only professional but turn personal.
Yeah.
And working with someone is not about only about the professional relationship.
No.
It's also about, can I trust this individual?
Right.
Can we travel together? Am I able to, have a beer or a drink after work and make the connection?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Jürg. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
It was my pleasure.
And very insightful information given that I'm sure the market will be interested to hear.
I hope. Thank you very much for having me here, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chase.